You're watching Straight Black Love Talk with your host, DC Radical One, the home of intelligent, mature relationship conversations.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to SBL Talk. I'm your host, DC Radical One, and y'all can hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat. For the first time in a long time, I'm simulcasting this on Instagram as well. Brother, you got ripped off. If you could check to see, make sure this is on Instagram for me, I'd appreciate that. It's been so long since I've done it. I don't know that it's going well. BB40, brother, you got ripped off. BB40 to Sister Nina. Okay. You got any numbers over there, brother? Is anybody watching yet? While we getting set up, get the music done. And let's get the music right. So here we go. Let me know if the sound levels was cool for the music. I have no idea how many people will show up tonight. This is somewhat of a controversial topic. I think, at least in the pro-Black / African-centered community, BB40, the straight Black brother, Sister Nina. I know I sent it to some people. Whether they will show up is another thing. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Black man's dating dilemma. And this was inspired by Brother Jarake. Interestingly enough, I cannot find his I thought he left a comment on a video on YouTube, but I can't find it. But basically, he was saying that it pretty much was saying, you know, like, all right, brother, let's get down to the brass tacks. How do you find a Black white man at the same time? And like I told him, I said, hey man, that's a whole show. Well, this is that show. So before they Sister Nache. And he was saying that like there's so many obstacles, and women don't understand this because there's something in our community. There's a lot of things in our community as overall as Black people, but there are things that y'all gotta excuse me. I'm trying to get my hair out of my eyes and underneath anyway what I'm wearing, so I can actually see and read. But for a lot of sisters seem to be of the belief, and it's a very weird belief, because a lot of sisters don't even see the vast majority of men, but a lot of sisters seem to be of the belief that men can get any woman they want. Like there's this weird dynamic going on. Peace to Sister Poetry. There's this weird dynamic going on where women admit that they're not attracted to the vast majority of men, and yet they believe that men can get any woman they want. Now, I don't know how these two things align, right? Because to me, that these two things don't align in any way, shape, or form. But this seems to be the belief, right? From what I've seen and hearing women on the internet, and sometimes talking to women. And what I realized, or at least what I think is happening, is this. What I think is happening is sisters are only measuring their interaction with men by the men that they find attractive. Thus, the men who they don't find attractive, their the realities of their dating life or their relationship issues or anything like that simply does not exist. Right? They can't relate to it. They ain't heard about it. They don't understand it. Sometimes they don't believe it when they hear about it. And some women don't care. So, cause the brother he put that on the table for me. I was like, all right, well, let's talk about it. And I'm glad we got some sisters here, but I really want some sisters to to add, in essence, add their 2 cents to the conversation, because I find these conversations are more productive if sisters engage. So one thing I will say for anyone who's over on the Instagram side, it'll be easier for me to, if you have a question or comment, it'll be easier for me to see it if you come on over to the YouTube side. Because after about an hour and a half, I'm gonna send the link out and people will be able to come in and we can interact, and they can come on the screen and give their 2 cents on the issue. So I see looks like there's a lot of people over there. So on Instagram, so I appreciate everybody that's coming through. In fact, it's a brother named Big Boy Cali said he's been having a lot of conversations about this. And when he used to listen to Kevin Samuels, he used to hit on the reality so hard. Hey, well, I'm sure Kevin Samuels will come up later in this discussion, because he always seems to come up when we talk about black male-female relationships lately. Somebody talking about turning off the music. Nah, that's what we do here. So we always have the music. Now, I can turn it down. You're saying it's too loud, but definitely not turn it off. BB to me, brother Safo. Did I miss anybody else? We're trying to toggle in between both audiences. But so yeah, that's the discussion. So shout out to brother Jarake. I don't see him in here. He probably will catch it later. But yeah, you inspired this show. So y'all know how we do SBL Talk. We do slides, and then we do interaction. So we should always start off the same way with our straight black pride pledge. All right, so let me take this banner off. Y'all can see those who aren't victims. Right? All right. You can read along or not. It's up to you. But for us who believe in being straight, black, and proud, I pledge allegiance to my straight, black, and proud ancestors and to the culture and traditions which they founded. I vow to practice those traditions of straight black love, family building, and nation building to the best of my ability, using all my life's energy, intelligence, and creativity. I also vow to do everything in my power to protect black men, black women, and especially black children from sexual abuse, homosexuality, exploitation, and miseducation, as long as I am mentally, physically, and spiritually able. Lastly, I vow to fight against any force, physical foe, ideology, or philosophy which threatens the straight, black, and proud culture, regardless of origin. This I pledge in the name of my African ancestors and the divine creator, Ashe. So whenever you come to a straight black pride event, you will see that at the beginning. And that's something I came up with, inspired by Dr. Wellesley. And Brother Jeannie helped me finalize it. So, one thing we always talk about, we measure and I'll paraphrase Kevin Samuels, but we measure success in the marriage, right? And here's the reason why. In traditional African and African American culture, marriage was an expected part of adulthood. In many African societies, you were not considered an adult if you were not married. The family was considered the foundational institution of the society. There was no debate about the equality of men and women, as each had their jobs to do for the society. During enslavement, Black men and Black women would often escape and try to find their spouses and children, risking life and limb. Black people would buy their loved ones with money they saved up, working quote-unquote overtime to get money to buy their spouses freedom. The reason I put this historical fact into the presentation every single time is because we forget the reality of the fact that everything has been done since before we got on the slave ship to destroy the family unit. I recommend everyone who hasn't to read the book Chalupa by Marlene Baruti. And for those who have read it, I recommend reading it at least once a year. One of the things that, it's not even one of the things he emphasizes, just one of the things that you will notice is the fact that when they lined us up and marched out towards the coast in the coffer lines, they would divide the men from the women. In the slave dungeons, they would divide the men from the women. On the slave ship, they would divide the men from the women. Okay. Thank you, women. And so forth and so forth. So that is an intrinsic part of the slave or the enslavement process, is dividing the men from the women, dividing Black men from Black women, right? And here's the thing. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. Black people in America are the canaries in the coal mine of America. Anything that works against Black people will be implemented against other people later on, right? It's that simple. So what do we see now? We talked about, like, for example, Brother D, we've been talking about feminization of the Black male since the 90s, when he was in PKB. Later on, we literally see TED Talks talking about the attack on masculinity, and other TED Talks advocating for the attack of masculinity, right? So this is not mythology, but the point is, it was implemented on Black people, and then other people began to notice and like, hey, wait a minute, we got a problem here, right? So I'm gonna just say this for any non-Black people who happen to have stumbled into this program: you would be wise to study the attacks on Black people, so you can see what is either coming or happens to already be happening in your community that you haven't noticed, right? Another example, the crack epidemic that was unleashed on the Black community in the 80s as a response to the Black Power movement. We now have a what they call an opioid addiction problem nationwide amongst most non-Black people. Nobody cared when it was happening to Black people. Now that it's happening to everybody else, it's a nationwide problem, right? And Trump is talking about tariffs and all this stuff because of the drug problem that basically that white people are having. So anyway, let me get back to where we were. Y'all know me, I tend to go on tangents, right? Even though everything is interconnected. Now, straight Black man's dating dilemma. All right, y'all ready? Let's get into it. This is a personal observation. For as long as I have been in the movement, and those of you who know me know I came into the movement as a teenager. So, in other words, last century, right? So since last century, there's always been an imbalance between the number of men who are pro-black and the number of. Now, maybe in another city, this was different, right? I can only speak because at that time I was only pretty much in DC. So I don't know what was going on in New York. I don't know what was going on in LA, Texas, Detroit, Chicago. I don't know what was going on there. This is simply anecdotal evidence, right? There was always more black men who were interested in whatever pro-black movement was going on at that time. So if you were in the UNIA, or you were in the Nation, or you were part of some African Center collective, there was, generally speaking, more men than women. Now, what are the reasons for that? Well, back in the day, the main reason is because simply there were more women in church than there were men in church. So pretty much any pro-black group that existed for the most part was pretty much anti-church, simply because the iconography of worshiping the European. You was pro-black, you're not worshiping no European. You see what I'm saying? So that was, that would cause an imbalance right there. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. That was par for the course. So that means, like, let's say, like when I was young and I was in the Nation, I was really young, college age. But like even college, no, I was still in high school when I first started. Anyway, the number of young men at that time to young women, like when I say young, I'm like, say 25, like let's say 18 to 25, right? Literally was probably like 5 brothers to 1 sister. Other organizations I found out was a similar ratio, maybe not as extreme, right? So, brothers in that situation is gonna make it difficult. But I mean, it's a high competition for the number of sisters that are available, which means what are the options that you have? The only other option is try to bring a sister from outside into whatever organization or whatever collective you were in. We'll talk about the not the dangers, but the problems with that, right? Because there are a lot of issues with that. From my observation, many pro-black organizations actually didn't put a focus on recruiting black women. I'm not sure why. It's just my observation. Like especially in times where quote-unquote pro-blackness was more militant, it just attracted more masculinity. And the people who people saw speaking on stage or whatever was mostly men. So I think those two things is probably why that took place, right? I stay here. I think there was somewhat of an assumption that if you have enough brothers, eventually sisters will come. And not exactly. You know what I'm saying? In my experience. To a degree, but not to a degree to balance it out, right? And in today's environment, like right now, a lot of sisters don't respect black men. for a lot of reasons, and some of them legitimate reasons. Just being completely honest, like we can't have 30 years of calling our women B's and H's and expect to get respect back. Like you can't have 30 years of disrespect and expect respect back, right? So we talk about it all the time. The outgrowth of that is popularity, Cardi B's, Nicki Minaj's, what is that? What is that chick's name, man, with all the tattoos and man, I can't even think of the name, but y'all get the point, right? Those are the women that reproductive age women look up to now. It is what it is. Like, no, we can try to sugarcoat it. We can try Sexy Red. Yeah, thank you. But she's not sexy and she's not red, so that's why her name always escapes. I can always picture what she looked like, but the name doesn't connect with the look. Yeah, Sexy Red, all of that. So, in this type of environment, with the media attacks, just the push of feminism, the lack of masculinity, it just, or if regular men, and this is what got my attention a few years ago. When I saw this was actually before Kevin sang, I saw regular men, and what by regular men, I mean not African-centered, not pro-black, not, anything like that, not straight black pride. So, to me, their standard for a woman would be lesser. When I saw them complaining about the condition of women and how hard it is to find relationship-ready women, that's when I started noticing. Because at first I dismissed it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I dismissed it. I was like, dude, just complaining. Y'all sound like a bunch of whining. I was basically like, y'all sound like a bunch of complaining, whining broads, and I'm not trying to hear. So, I dismissed the complaints, and some of the complaints would come from brothers I knew personally. So I was like, bro, it can't be that bad. So once I started getting around regular women, and it probably happened, I changed job location, so I was around more sisters. And then you start talking to them, and then you move to different places and all that. And it's like, oh, okay, now I see, right? Now I see what brothers are saying. But you got ripped off said, brother, you got ripped off. He get free super chats because he makes significant donations. He said, I was just saying that to someone that until our sisters start calling themselves B's, and I'll add H's, we didn't put it up here. Now brothers start calling themselves N's, we're losing. Bro, that's indisputable, irrefutable fact and truth, as Dr. Khaled would say. Like, is no way around it. Like, we try to get around it. We try to avoid that reality. We can't be running around calling ourselves N words and B's and H's and think that we can do anything with them. I'm going to die on that hill, as they say, right? I'm never going to change my stance on that. No one has proven it wrong. Our condition over the last 30 years is a testament to this fact. J-Bags, yeah, I'm gonna get to that too. See, y'all love to jump in front of the class. we gonna get to that part. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get to that part that you talking about. Yeah, remember, I didn't say the black man's dilemma. What did it say? It says the straight black man's dilemma. So what you're talking about there with the undercover gender fluidity that you're talking about is even more of a problem for us, because other men may see that as beneficial. although they would be sadly mistaken. But that's another discussion, right? So, if a black woman had, if she doesn't respect black men, it's gonna be hard. How can you consider relationship material? It's gonna be hard to have a healthy relationship because you don't have any respect for you. A woman doesn't have any respect for you. It's over. There's nothing you can do, right? There is no relationship. It's dead. It's over. Move along. It's like the cheating thing, right? To a man, a woman laying up with another man is the most disrespectful thing she can do. Once she does that, there's no recovering from that relationship. I'm just being completely honest. I know we try to get around it. Let's get some counseling. Let's get them. No, sir. Because especially if the person she was with is skilled, oh my God. Every time you try to get intimate with her, in her mind, she's thinking about him and comparing you to him. And if he is, let's say he's more well endowed or more skilled, man, please. Like here on street, SBL Talk, we try to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we gotta talk about stuff that we don't want to talk about. And I'm telling you, I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know, right? There are, how can I put this without getting demonetized? There are points of pressure that you can touch a woman at or on that will alter her brain chemistry. Okay, that's the best way I can say it. And if that takes place, that woman now belongs to that man that did that, regardless of whatever paperwork she got or anything else going on. So just putting that out there. That's part of the game. Y'all know I do occasionally teach game in these discussions. Sister said black people are loyal to everything but self-respect. We don't love ourselves, but how we gonna love another black person? Well, might as well put this up because that's on point. Black Renaissance. Okay, can't argue with that. I can argue with the picture, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the gender war and miscegenation of women. And here's the thing about the gender war. And y'all know how these SBLs get. They get kind of stream of consciousness. I have these slides of the framework, but y'all know how I get, especially if y'all make good points. The thing about the gender war is that we have to understand. We have to understand the concept that we're being warred upon. The gender war between black men and black women isn't an accidental thing that happened to just surface in the last 30 years out of the clear blue sky, right? There has been psychological attacks waged on black men and on black women. And neither of us have properly, in the aggregate, repelled the psychological attacks that have been waged upon us, because they've been waged in a way that if you're younger than, I'll say, especially if you're younger than 35, you were born into it. So you haven't known anything other than it, than the discord between black men and black women and all the chaos and confusion and, being born into us inwarding each other and BNHing each other and all this stuff. So anyone, I might even say under 40, anyone younger than that doesn't know that there was a time when it just didn't exist, right? So one thing we have to remember is what we see is an artificial reality that's been imposed on us. And thus we have to make a new reality amongst ourselves to repel the psychological attacks that are occurring every day, right? Like every day, 24/7, 365. And I mean, YouTube is a perfect example of it. Like literally all people talk about, well, not all, but the number of people who just constantly talk about some aspect of the gender war with very little in the way of solutions. You know, it speaks for itself. Brother, you got ripped off. Did you, as you put the links in, thank you, brother. Did you let the people on not on Insta, on Telegram, did you let them know already? Because I didn't get a chance to check my phone. If you did, I appreciate it. All right, you did. All right, thank you, brother. So let's get into this next slide, because I said I'm gonna be here all night, even because doesn't time go forward tonight? So that means people have even less. Hold up, I got my slides mixed up. All right, that slide ain't even, yeah, whatever. Bypass that. Yeah, production error. Unfortunately, I'm the producer, so I can't even say anything else to anybody else about it. The other imbalance is, and this is getting to the brother's question specific, because the brother doesn't have children. Many of the brothers in the movement that I know who are in their 30s and 40s, and some of them older and some younger, many of them don't have children due to either religious or cultural belief about being married before having children. Right? It's, it's something that is so much ingrained in our culture before integration that I think many of our elders just assumed that we knew. But once as the society breaks down, it becomes a thing that the things that are outside the community come into the community. So it's because you in an African centered space or a straight black pride space or whatever religious space you're in, the world comes into your space, right? People join your movement as they were and try to improve themselves. But there's some things that can't be changed. You know what I'm saying? Like if a sister if she comes into the movement with 2 children, she's gonna have 2 children. If a brother comes into the movement with no children, he's gonna have no children. And if you have, let's say you have 10 brothers and 10 sisters, but 8 of the brothers don't have children, but 8 of the sisters do have children. You have that imbalance. It is what it is. And it's the same way in the world, but just not to the extreme. You see what I'm saying? So, and I put the numbers up, but like it's something like 40% of black men have children, but over 60% of black women have children. So that imbalance in the community in general is a real thing. So that's what makes it feel like to many brothers that it feels like it's virtually impossible, depending on the city you live in, to find a sister that doesn't have children that also happens to still be reproductive age, right? That's how brothers feel. And that's basically, well, when the brother asked me, the brother that inspired the show, when he asked me about, finding a good sister, finding a wife, he did throw that caveat in about finding a woman that doesn't already have a child. That was a part of the caveat that he threw in. So when he said that, I was like, oh, he made something that was already difficult, even, a task even more difficult than before. So, Yeah, well, I mean, we just don't talk about it and put it on tape. So it says here, many brothers, many African-centered men want to have a family, but they want to start their families from scratch. This is something that's kind of unspoken in our community that, we don't talk about it, but we don't really want to talk about it. But then if you talk about it, then the floodgates open, right? And sisters don't want to talk about it because they don't want to talk about it. Huh? You know what I'm saying? When it comes with solutions like this, Brother Safo said that black women had more babies by multiple men than brothers had by multiple women. I don't have any documentation for that. If you have any documentation for that, brother, let me know. I don't know if that's true or false. So I don't know. I know this is one thing I know for sure. Years ago, I say up until maybe the last 10 years, brothers in general were more willing to deal with a woman with children because women generally just had less children. So most of the time, brothers were dealing with a woman with a child, by one man who, may be incarcerated, maybe in another city, whatever, like wasn't really on the scene. It's only recently that you have sisters like what you're talking about with, multiple children and sometimes by multiple men, like, say sisters four. You look at some of these dating shows, and you see sisters with 4 children by 2 men, 3 men, things like that. And okay, that's a reality situation. That's what you deal with. But you'll see those women. I've seen some of those women, and even more children than that sometimes. Talking about they don't want a man with children. And I'm like, come on now. What are we talking about here? Like, how do you have multiple children by multiple men, and you don't want a man who has children? How is that fair to the man who has no children? Like, what benefit is it to, and sisters, y'all got to answer. Yeah, this is a legitimate question. It's not, this is not a what's the word? Anyway, this is a legitimate question. I'm asking the question to anyone who has an answer. How is that beneficial to the man who doesn't have children? For a woman who has multiple children by multiple men? How does that relationship, how is their balance? How is that mayat, which is balance, truth, reciprocity? I'm asking because I'm starting to see it more and more, and I didn't see it at first, and maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe the women weren't as vocal, or I don't know what it is, right? I just know I'm seeing it more and more, and I'm just trying to figure out where does that come from, because that's, now admittedly I'm seeing it in the Negro community, but I'm sure somewhere in here that someone has brought that from the outside, and the question simply is, how is that mayat? Right? It's one thing, it's one thing like if a brother meets a sister, she has children, and he just likes her, and they work it out, or he works it out, or whatever. That's one thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sisters in those situations demanding the man not have children. You know what I'm saying? Like making that one of their requirements. It's like it's the 666 man plus. Like, I don't think women really can conceive in their mind mathematically what they be asking for when they be asking for men. Sisters be talking about they want a man. I watched something today. The brother was 6 feet. Like, he happened to be the shortest man. It one of them pop the balloon thing. He happened to be the shortest man, but he's 6 feet tall. Is that everyone else is 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", right? But mathematically speaking, you don't just go out in the world and find, unless you go into an NBA basketball game, you don't find a bunch of dudes in 6'4". Just mathematically, that doesn't exist in America. It's like 1 out of 8. I think it's like 1 out of 8 men, not black men, but men in general, who are over 6 feet. So, and the sister, I think she was like 5'2", but she had heels on. So she was like, yeah. She said something low key disrespectful to the brother, but she basically was like, he was too short. Now, mind you, if you're 5'2" and you're wearing heels as a woman, that means you're 5'5". But the man is 6 feet tall, so he's still more than 6 inches taller than a woman. Well, I was sitting there looking at this, and I was just like, it's like literally women's disrespect of men affects their perception of a man's physical stature. It's the weirdest thing, right? And getting to see it in action, because I've been hearing it for years. It is hilarious to me. Like, women, I don't know what's going on, right? Y'all know me, I don't claim to know everything. And in this case, like, women's perception of men, I can only speculate what's going on psychologically. And Sister Najee says they don't want children from a man's family because they aren't interested in the extra work it brings. They only tolerate their own children because they come with Texas. I think Sister Najee just rejoined. All right, I give you one super chat because you did rejoin. Man, I wasn't gonna put it up till I read the tax benefits part. Notice she said they only tolerate their own children because they come with tax benefits. Man, that's, again, this is sister talking it. This ain't DC. I don't want y'all writing in the comments, DC, man, all that show was a hit piece on a black woman. Now I'm telling you what, I'm putting up with the sisters. So that's crazy. Let us get, where was I in the slide? Okay. Yeah, so the question becomes, who's going to take care of the women who already have children, right? Is polygamy a realistic solution, or will it cause even more problems? Y'all see I got more questions than answers than that, right? Like, is polygamy a solution? Like, if a brother has a family, bringing in a sister, another sister, and her children, is that positive, or is that something where you can that outside woman can end up disrupting his family and what he got going on? It's definitely going to put more work and strain on him. Man, go ahead. Yeah, if y'all want to know what I'm laughing at, this is what I'm laughing at. His brother say, most spouses, more problems. Look, that's a married man saying it. So he's married. He's not interested in no polygamy at all. Like, he's hey, sisters, he love y'all. He gonna love y'all for a distance. He's like, what he got going on is just simply superior to what he has is sufficient. Right. So yeah, I'm just saying, I'm putting questions out there. This is why I wanted people to come in and interact, because tonight episode was, it's more of a question and answer episode. Sister Poetry, Sister Najee said, polygamy is a terrible option for the immature and spiritually malnourished. Life is a terrible option for the immature and spiritually malnourished. So anyway, let's see. Sister said a wise man was told me people children should date people with children, and people without children should date people without children. But poly would probably be beneficial. All right, let me put this up here. But poly would probably be beneficial for women with children. So, all right, I didn't have this as a slide, but we just gonna open this up for discussion based upon that, because this is where the slides have led us. Here's the question, right? For the man, and then we're just dealing with the married man. For the man that's married, right? Is, or no, not is. That's not the question. How is polygamy beneficial? Let's listen to the question. And we got anybody here that polygamy, please, drop in and let us know. For the man who is married, who has a solid relationship, you've been married, say you've been married, say you got married young, let's say you got married at 25, which is young now. And so let's say you've been married. Oh, let's go young. Let's say you got married at 22, got married right out of college, or you went to a trade school and just started making money. He's like, all right, you got married at 22. He's 40, right? So he's been married to the point where his oldest child is getting ready to graduate. This man who has built his life in has, let's say he has a couple of children. Other than him being able to reproduce again or a couple more times, what are the benefits for that man who's in a stable married relationship? I'm putting that question out there. Anyone want to answer? You got ripped off. He says it's beneficial only if there's serious nation building commitment from all parties involved in that community. Well, that's an excellent answer. And brother, your answer is leading to tonight's first clip. We're going to listen to Mama Iniya Ruby on this clip as she talks about, I believe it's the clip where she talks about complementarity and mate selection. So, whether you got ripped off, led us right into that. That was the perfect segue. So, y'all know how we do. Pause the music and load up the clip.
Family, welcome to tonight's class on complementarity and the second part of the womanhood class. Last week, general topic of womanhood. Tonight, complementarity. Next week, motherhood. And our last class will be sisterhood. Okay, I have two very important quotes I'm asking everybody to write down because I think they're so important. The first one, committing to marriage and family is the revolutionary act of our time. Now, the revolutionary act of our time, I'm playing on Mama Marimba's quote, to be African, and which, of course, first and foremost, we have to be African. To be African is the revolutionary act of our time. But I'm seeing more of us are willing to be African, but we're not necessarily willing to commit to marriage and family. So I would put those hand in hand, because if we have all of these single people and we're not forming families, so we're African, but part of being African is forming families. So I think we can't do one without the other. And I think, the state of our marriage and families, we really have to stress that point. And my second quote is, working on your marriage is nation building work. And I like that one and came up with that based upon we love African people. We're all involved in nation building work, and we're busy. We're working, we're teaching, we're meeting, doing our political meetings. We're learning our culture. We're getting names, clothes, drumming, dance, African languages. We're doing all this nation building work. And we don't realize that working on our marriage is nation building work. So when we have a list of nation building work, I think this needs to be number one, marriage and family, first and foremost. Because really, because of the state in which we find ourselves in this state of oppression, literally you could work 24/7 and we would still, it would be forever to build our nation. So as we do, and that doesn't mean that, okay, we're only going to work on our marriages. I'm sorry, I can't help in the community, I'm working on my marriage. But it does mean working on your marriage is a priority. And you must schedule time to do that, because otherwise we've definitely found there's always something going on in the community. There's a need, there's work to be done, and that's going to be ongoing because it took us hundreds of years to get to this point. So it'll be hundreds of years to get back to where we were. But in the interim, okay, just like if you're poor, or like most of us, you need to work to pay the bills. But at the same time, while you're doing that, we can't say, okay, no, I can't have a job, I can't work, I have to do nation building work, or I have to work on my marriage. But we have to multitask, and we have to prioritize recognizing that our marriages are a major priority. And of course, marriage and family. Now, for this quote, I just put marriage, because I think most of us recognize the need for taking care of our children, but we often don't see working on our marriage as nation building work. So learn to do that. Okay, trying to find a complement. Definitely you should have two individuals that have some basic similarities, because otherwise what do you work from? So it's going to be something you have in common beyond this attraction. But even the attraction, if it's not lust, even the attraction is there's something you see in that person that's similar to you, unless you're trying to be rebellious. You're just looking for somebody who's totally opposite of everything that you do. And I would say specifically for those of us who are African-centered, first and foremost, you should be looking for an African-centered complement. Otherwise, and we've seen many examples of this, it will not work. We see sometimes sisters or brothers play a role because they see someone who's African-centered and that's who they want, and they're willing to play that role. But when it's not sincerely that individual, there's a marriage. And unfortunately, what we know with some of our sons, okay, and then the children come, and then she feels she has the upper hand. I have the children, and we see another side, okay?
So that was Mama Iniya Baruti speaking on I was like, that boy, have I seen many a brother get pulled out the movement because of a sister, because of a black woman who, whether they were pretending they were interested because of or they were interested in the movement, but they were only interested in a brother, or I don't even know. But I've seen many brothers pulled out because the woman basically made their life a living hell, and just they were not willing to let them operate within the community. Sometimes it's out of jealousy, because a brother, if he's well-spoken, intelligent, he's in a leadership position, and women find him physically appealing, it can put you in a position where a brother gets a lot of attention from women, right? Doesn't mean that he's seeking the attention or doing anything disrespectful towards this woman. Just the position he's in can make a woman feel insecure, and that can cause problems in your relationship. Like, y'all know what I tell y'all. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I'm saying the things I have observed over the years that I can speak on without naming names. Right? So let's get to the next slide. What is a good black woman? Now, I know right now a lot of sisters are gonna turn this off, disregard everything I'm saying, silently call me names, maybe even flip me the old bird from like the old days. But we're gonna get into it. And before that, let me see, because I haven't been 1 hour in. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on OTW2, which is a black owned and operated platform, at DC Radical 1. And if you are finding value in this, you can donate via Cashapp, $ DC Radical 1. All right, got that out of the way. Let's talk about this discussion here. This is a discussion that you hear a lot. There's a lot of discussion about good black men and good black women, right? And the reality of the situation is that our perceptions of that are. Before I get into the good black woman thing, I'm gonna just become. I heard again, I was watching. It's sort of in preparation for the show. I was watching the Pop the Balloon thing, right? And a woman said the realest thing on there I've ever heard a woman say. She admitted the truth. She said she popped his balloon. They were like, "Hey, why'd you pop his balloon?" And she said, being completely honest, I am not sexually attracted to this man. I say, finally. Like Dwayne Johnson used to say in wrestling, finally The Rock has come back. I'm like, finally, somebody put it on tape. This is the reality. Again, we've talked about womb imprinting, and we talked about all that information before. There's a reason why I talked about that stuff, right? Because it's real. There seemed to be nothing wrong with that brother. He seemed to be solid. Again, these are men in shape, good looking, good height, good jobs. I mean, brothers got businesses, all types of stuff. So they're finding quality men on going these shows. And, women are, they popping new balloons and saying all types of nonsensical stuff. And then she just said the truth again. This is why I say, if your woman doesn't lust you, you in trouble. You have a problem. Because the man she does lust has keys to your woman. This is just a reality situation. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. Right? The same way that women cheat better than men. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. All right? Grew up with some people in my family who were womanizers. They were telling me this stuff. Back in the day, brother made me realize you can't be a player and only deal with single women, but there are not enough single women for that to work. Players know. Players are players because they deal with all women, single, married, whatever. And many times, high-level players they're not going out here looking for the woman. The woman looking for them. Because sometimes women talk and will tell other women how skilled the gentleman is. See, these are the discussions that women have that men aren't generally privy to. And as I said before, brothers, if you ever walk in a room with a group full of women and everybody start laughing and giggling and get quiet, you were the subject of the discussion, right? Now, I have digressed, and I got 23 more minutes, and I probably got 6 more slides. All right, what is a good black woman, quote unquote? Black men and black women have very different ideas about women. I think, am I telling any lies here with that? Sister of Black Renaissance is asking me questions saying, I don't know where you're about to go with this, but based off your previous programs, it seems that you believe women think sexually first. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is women's sexuality is an intricate part of who they choose. Again, here's something we got to understand. The conscious mind and the subconscious mind don't actually have to be in alignment. The conscious mind often drives behavior that the subconscious mind often drives behavior that the conscious mind doesn't perceive, right? That's why people have therapy. Therapy is really you getting into your subconscious mind so you can see why you have behaviors which you yourself don't understand, right? So that's why I talk about things like womb imprinting, past traumas, and so forth, so on, because those things are affecting women at a subconscious level. Womb imprinting is a subconscious process that also affects women physically, right? So it's not a conscious thing. That's why women find themselves dating literally the same person over and over and over and over, because it's based off of their imprint, right? Where men, it's a conscious thing of choosing a woman. Like literally most men, it's like, I'm physically attracted to this woman, and then they start delineating, different things, right? Like again, I'm referring to the same stuff I was watching. Like I think that was yesterday. I was watching something like this. It was a short clip, and his sister got the brother's popped the balloon on her, and I'm looking at her, and this is attractive. This is a nice looking sister, fit, nice build, and basically none of the men were attracted to her. And it was because basically she was too fit. I mean, I don't have any other way to say it. She was too slim. And I just kind of, I thought that was interesting. Because as much as Kevin Samuels has spread his fit, what did he used to say? Fit feminine, and something else. He used to say. And brothers were like, yeah, whatever. And sister said, well, women immediately place men in 3 categories. It doesn't mean that we see men in a sexual manner before men do that. Or my bad, I read that wrong. Let's try this again. It says if women put men in 3 categories, one of 3 categories, doesn't that mean we see men in a sexual manner before men do? I would say in general, women notice men and process that information before men notice women generally. So that means in all aspects. because women make judgments off of men based off of their, or off the clothing we wear and how we, how we style our hair and stuff like that. Women process that as far as potential for mating, as far as what, in essence, do you look like you have a certain amount of money or you don't? So that's not even sexual. Women are processing that information. That's a non-sexual aspect to mate selection that women are processing. I remember a brother telling me about how women look at shoes, and I was like, huh? And he was basically saying that women look at it as the condition of the shoes, showing them, in essence, the man's economic status. Now, whether that's a cultural thing to the black community or what, I didn't really understand, because it was kind of, how can I put it? I was reticent to accept that. And I know I asked some sisters, but I can't remember what they said because it was so long ago. So anyway, I hope that answers your questions. Yeah, women process information about men and notice men in various ways before men have a chance to process. Because usually we're stuck on the physical. Even if we notice a woman, we're stuck on the physical first. Women are processing all types of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Downloading that information and coming to those conclusions. So when how can I put it? So it's not just the physical aspect of a man that they are processing to put the men in those three categories. Everything that they see about him goes into a category. And then they come up with, let's put this person in one of these three categories. Generally speaking, if a woman puts a man in a he can get a category, it's not just his physical, but it's how he dressed, how he carries himself, his body language, his communication style. All of that plays into putting the man in the he can get, right? So it's not just because, like, for example, a woman can see a man get out of a Maserati with a suit on, with expensive cologne. You know what I'm saying? Let's say he got lots of the locks freshly retwisted and he's in shape. She's taking all of those things, right? and processing them and saying, oh, he can get it. It's not just the car or the clothes or the hair or the in shape or the height. No, it's the aggregate of these things that puts him in that category, as opposed to the nebulous middle category that most men go into, or that there is no chance at all category. So I hope that has, I hope that helps clarify what I'm saying. Now, we've gone off on that tangent. Let's get back to the good black woman. I think, and y'all tell me if y'all disagree, black men and black women have different, in general, I'm not talking about in the community, I'm talking about in general, have different ideas about what makes a good woman, right? Especially in terms of who makes selection. And I believe part of that's we using different metrics to measure, quote unquote, good, right? So in terms of a woman being wife or being wife material, her degrees, possessions, accomplishments in her career mean virtually nothing to her. I mean, it's good, congratulations, but I can't say what a brother told me about that. You know what I'm saying? It's funny, but I can't say it, you know. If you ask me on Instagram or something, maybe I DM it to you, maybe depending on if I know you. Her character, her beauty, both physical and spiritual, her ability to be cooperative with him. You ain't got to be cooperative with every man. You got to be cooperative with him. And her ability to inspire a man are more important attributes than the accomplishments and all that stuff, right? I hear a lot of women in these various shows talk about their degrees and this, that, and the third, and so forth, so on. Hey man, that's fantastic. Is that gonna help you raise my babies? I mean, it should. Like, you're educated, you should be able to teach the babies, but women don't go to school to be able to learn how to teach their children better. They go to school to get a job, which generally means working for Europeans, which generally means out, and many times conflict in your home because your woman spends 8 hours of her day every day listening to and or submitting to a European. When integration happened, this is something Elijah Muhammad warned us about before integration happened. We, like the rest of the people in Black America, never took it seriously, or I don't really know. We greatly underestimate that, because in reality, the reason why, one of the things that happened during integration, or has happened during integration, right at the beginning of it, is when they started making the quotas. Like before DEI, like the civil rights bills were passed, they started making racial quotas to try to balance things out. Because things weren't specific to race, like the civil rights bills weren't specific to race, what happened is that many times they would hire the Black women first. Like, I'm talking about starting in the late 70s, because they would check 2 boxes, right? We hired a woman, that's 1 box. We hired a Black person, that's 2 boxes. We hired a Black woman, that Black woman checks 2 boxes. So that started in the 70s. So you started to see an imbalance economically between men and women. So now you hear a lot of women talking about Black men are broke, Black men are broke, Black men are broke. In reality, Black men on average make more than Black women. It is what it is, right? But when a Black woman receives a certain social status, she begins to look down on men. So I'll give you a perfect example. I remember I was talking to this brother, and it was a while ago. It was maybe 10, 15 years ago. He was a truck driver. He was a truck driver. And he was talking about the sisters that work for the government, right? And how they look down on him because he's a truck driver. And he's like, fam, I make double what these chicks make. I know what they make. I make double what they make. And they look down on me like I'm nobody. Greetings to RBG. And when he said that, I never forgot it, because I was like, that's interesting. They assume because he's a blue collar man that they look at him as lesser. And in reality, from a financial and economic standpoint, he's outpacing them. But from a social standpoint, they look at him as lower, right? So because one thing that's happening now is women are looking at men as an accessory. You say that for like a purse and shoes. You got to have your purse and shoes matching or similar colors or whatever the case may be. If you ever gone like shoe shopping with a woman, it's just like, man, let me just go sit over there. I don't have no opinion. Like whatever she say, I'm like, look, all right. Unless it's something that looks crazy, and you're like, no, don't buy those. But other than that, I just grab a chair because you're gonna be there, bro. Ain't no need to stress yourself out. But anyway, I digress. So that is a thing in our community where social status makes women make choices that may not be beneficial. Like a lot of women's make selection is based on things that just aren't relevant to a relationship, right? Like, does a man have good character? I hear sisters talk about everything they want a man all day, and like, well, not all day. That would be crazy. But anytime I turn on YouTube, right? Because I look at these shows just to see what's going on in our community. I never hear a woman talk about character. Never. It don't matter if Christian. I don't see any Muslim dating shows. I don't know what they got going on. Even really, being completely honest, I don't hear a lot of Africans in the system really say that. Like, does a man have good character? You would think. I'm gonna assume that if the sister has been in Mama Yabarudi's class, I'm assuming they would say that. But that's something that has to be said. Don't make the assumption that just because somebody happens to go to a few lectures, they got good character. Nah, you need to find out. You need to find out about that man from the people around him, right? Because there are people in the movement pretending. You know, we got some degenerates running around. We got some barbarians laying in the cut. Like, this is just a reality of the situation. But I'm saying from this perspective, generally, we warn the sisters about the men. Be like, hey, got some players in here. We got some dudes that, you know, really, really like women. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just ask before you just jump out there with a dude. You know, ask or bring them around, and you know, we'll let you know. For the brothers, we don't really do that. You got ripped off shit. People thought Polite could be trusted. I'm gonna just be honest, man. Polite always struck me as one of them slick talking, fast talking New York dudes. And you know what I say. When them dudes get to talking, just put your hand in your pocket so you make sure your wallet's still there. That's just, you know what I'm saying? He always struck me like that. I was like, okay, this dude's smart. But I never thought of him as like no trustworthy dude. Nah, I don't know what people saw in that. I saw that coming a mile away. But anyway, I digress. Where was I? Oh, from an African perspective, a woman who's not in alignment culturally or ideologically will generally be difficult to have a relationship with. BB Fourier to Sister Simone. Brother Safo, what are you saying is hard facts? Let me know. And here, beware of chameleons. Like, something brothers and sisters have to be aware of as people who like you personally and pretend not align with your ideology. Man, it's been a problem for, I ain't gonna say 40 years, but it probably has been. Yeah, I mean, it's been a problem since the days of the Panthers. It's dudes that joined the Panthers just because the Panther women were fine. I've heard them stories. You know? So, yeah, man, it's just something to look out for. I tell sisters all the time. And there's a sister in here. Sister that's not in here. I wish was in here. I forgot this. I don't think I sent the message to her. Nowhere. I tell sisters all the time. Look, if you dating some dude, like especially in the internet age, and he come up on the internet, he, trying to get at you, he claiming he with the movement or whatever. The best thing you can do is to bring him to an event with brothers you respect. If he refused, and I told the sister this person, if he refused to show up, or he stopped you from showing up, leave that dude alone. Because the reason why that takes place is because that person is greetings to Thorough Black Talk. Generally, that brother is not. So what I want to do. In essence, he's afraid of being exposed by those brothers, right? So he won't want to come around that event with brothers that are strong and thorough because he don't feel like either he don't feel like he fit in or he don't want to be exposed. And I've told sisters before, I'm like, bring them around, but we having such and such, we having this, we having that. If they don't bring that dude around, usually if they stay with him, something disastrous happens, right? I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. I've seen this for years. Same with sisters. We had, man, when I was a 5%, when I was part of the 5% nation back in the day, one of my brothers, man, that we was tight. We was like brothers. And he brought his woman around, sister who was like the one who had been in the longest and had the strongest foundation. She was like, oh nah. I remember talking to her, she was like, that girl, that's not it, blah, 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 blah. I tried to tell him. Now it's kind of, I'm gonna be honest, it's hard to tell your boy that his woman is not the answer. That's always the hardest conversation to have because you always come off like a hater. He might think that you jealous and want the woman. Like that thing can go off the rails. I can go left, right? But nah, we used to bring sisters around to that sister because like, tell us what you think. You know what I'm saying? Kick it with her. Be friends with her. Let us know. Let me know if I'm making the wrong decision. As a man, let's be honest, as a man, your mind can be clouded by a woman. If you really, like, if a woman has a high level of femininity, it literally clouds a man's mind, especially in this day and time, because there's so few women that have high levels of femininity, just being completely honest, right? So when you meet that kind of woman, and if she wants to masquerade as being what you're about or in alignment with you ideologically, oh yeah, you can get got. It's no question. Again, I'm not telling you what I think, I tell you what I know. Right? That's why it's important. That's why having community is important. That's why bringing your potential complement around elders is important. Right? Because if the elders love you, they will tell you the truth. They're straight up. Even if you don't want to hear it, they're like, hey. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the elder might tell you, sometimes it might not be that he's telling you that's not your woman. Sometimes he's telling you he might tell you soon as he meet the sister, that's your woman. Now you can go and try to do some other stuff, but hey, that's your fault. You're like, hey man, that's your woman right there. I don't know what you're doing. I know you're gonna bring another girl next week, but that's your woman right there. But hey, do what you do. Right? You know what I'm saying? The elders that love you, they'll tell you. So yeah, I guess I covered that. Let me see what's along the bottom. Banners covering up the last part. Don't be afraid to listen to your inner spirit. Sometimes we know the truth, but we hate to admit it because of physical attraction, or because we have gotten intimate before we got married. So let's just be honest. Y'all know me. I like to keep it real. A woman who is skilled can have a man thinking backwards. Again, they ain't telling you what to think. Been there, done that. Any man who has experienced a number of women, and I'm not trying to put a number on a number, I'm just saying you lived a long life, you've experienced a handful of women, you have come across that woman who is like, oh, and it, you put in a crossroads. You either like, oh, I love this woman, or oh, nah, I can't. I got to get away from this woman because this too much. I can't. Nope. She gonna have me out here acting crazy. Nah, I can't do it. I got to roll out. I mean, here's what it is. Anyway, get to our next slide because I'm running out of time here. All right, so where are the African women who want to be wives? I'm gonna just say this: if you're single and you're in the audience, you know what I'm saying, and you think you qualify for this, put a 1. And the reason I'm asking y'all to put a 1 in the chat, and even if somebody's still looking over on Instagram, and you think you're this black woman, you come on over and put a 1 too. Please, appreciate it. And the reason I want y'all to do that is because I want to show the brothers that these women exist, right? That's the biggest question. What? I don't even, bro. You got to tell me what Chris Breezy cut. I don't know his music. But this is the question that brothers ask me. In fact, that is a question brothers been asking me for a decade. This is why we on SBL Talk, why I started doing singles mixes. That's why I did a lecture specifically for black women. You know what I'm saying? It's partially, not totally, but partially the inspiration for me doing what I do. Right? The unfortunate reality is, at this point in our history, the number of black women in general, I'm not saying like the number of race first African national black women. I'm saying the number of black women in general who want to be wives, not just married, but want to be wives. There's a difference. Getting married and being a wife is two different things. It's the difference between, it's just like there's a difference between, let's say a brother who wants a girlfriend and a brother that wants to be a husband. Being a husband is a whole different ball game than just wanting a girlfriend, wanting to be in a relationship, right? It's a higher level. I mean, the responsibility of being a husband is just, it's no joke. I'm gonna just say that. Salute to the brothers that are married and have maintained their marriage, because those men are elite. Wow. See what I mean, brothers? There's one whole 1 in the chat. Some of these other sisters I know, I'm going to assume that I'm going to give them a break. I'm going to say a couple of these other sisters that I know are single. Either they haven't announced that they're not single, or I'm going to assume they went to the bathroom. That's I'm giving a break. They went to the bathroom. Their internet cut off. They turned off the show because they want to watch. I don't know what's going on Saturday night. I don't know what's on TV. Or, their homegirl's going to pick them up so they can go out. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. Plus, we got, won't have that many people in here anyway. So anyway. But yeah, that number of sisters that want to be wives is lower than any time that I've experienced. I'm just being honest. Some brothers, keep me, 100. Some brothers gonna have to travel to different parts of the black world to meet the level of woman they want. Maybe Africa, maybe the Caribbean. Here's the biggest problem with that. There's multiple problems with that. Here's the biggest problem with that. As from what I've experienced, and I'm only going by the experience of meeting these women from other places, not going there. Well, there's 2 things. I'm gonna say this. 1, depending on the country. And there's a lot of sisters from the African continent that love European. Like, it's disgusting. Okay? We think our women love European men. Oh, man, nah, we ain't seen nothing. In fact, I remember talking to Brother Genie. I can't remember what country it was, so shout out to those sisters in that country. He said he come to a sister. Sister was like, she said, what she said? She's like, oh, are you saying we have to give up our European man because we love our European man? I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's disgusting. Right? So I say that to say that just because you hop on a plane and go to a non-European country to find a black woman don't mean that you're going to find, just because you on the African continent don't mean you're going to find an African-centered woman. Okay? There's a lot of negresses on the African continent. How you think they make all that money selling them wigs and weaves and bleaching creams? Okay? Let's keep it a buck. We have self-hatred here. I'm talking about men and women. This is not a, it's not a contest. Like we have a self-hatred problem in the black community. Period. Oh, there's also a self-hatred problem on the African continent. You know what I'm saying? Colonialism did happen, right? So I'm saying that may be an answer to the problem, but it's not a definitive answer. That's the reality. For years, we have been the most racially conscious people on earth, right? The heart of the Garvey movement was in New York City, even though the movement was global and started in Jamaica. The number of movements and rebellions and things that have come from here, it is, impressive considering our condition, right? Other places had a head start, like Brazil had a head start. Like they were building communities and stuff when North America was nothing, you know what I'm saying? A few European villages and the slave trade hadn't got crunk up like that yet, right? So generally, this would be the best place. We're just in, I've said this before, we're just in a counter-revolutionary time. The psychological warfare that's been wasting as black people right now is at a level, it may be the highest level I've seen. Like, they really would, because of the internet. We are speaking the thoughts of our enemies every day as if they are our own. I remember a brother told me years ago, he said, we got to stop seeing ourselves through our enemies' eyes. I thought that was profound, because that's literally what's taking place. When you hear women say these talking points about what a real man is, it's like really, there's no differentiation between black women and non-black women. Everybody's saying the same thing. You got 4'11" Chinese women talking about their men ain't tall enough. Lady, you're 4'11". You weigh 87 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Why do you want a women's disrespect and lack of attraction to Chinese men is wild when you see it. I went down that rabbit hole. I don't even know. Oh, brother, y'all can hear me? Okay, I think that was an internet glitch. No, what I was saying, I was speaking about Chinese women. and their disrespect of Chinese men, but we don't see it. I went down that rabbit hole on the internet. I don't know what I was looking for, but some type of way I went down that rabbit hole. And as I was saying, and I don't know if this part came in, if I'm repeating myself, my apologies. You see 4'11" Asian women talking about they want a man that's 6 feet and all this stuff. Their men, that's not the men. The average size of their men is like 5'6", 5'7". That's like the average size of their men. And I'm like, why you as an Asian woman want a 6'1", 225-pound black man? Like, what makes you think you can handle that man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that dude will hurt you, lady. Like, what are we talking about here? So when I saw that, and then again, we talked about that 4B movement coming out of Korea. We talked about this China situation, and it's wild. Brother RBG said it's like someone is getting behind everyone's back and causing dissension with a hidden hand. That's a problem of the internet, especially when it comes to administering it through service and the like. Yeah, no, hold on. You put that up. It's not like that's exactly what's happening, right? That's exactly what's happening. The ideologies and philosophies that we bought into and the ideas that we have about relationships are put into an echo chamber to be repeated ad nauseum on the internet. But the origins of such originate with those who we shall not speak of today, right? Because we're trying to get this one monetized and put some stuff up that wasn't monetized recently. So we're trying to get this one monetized. So now it's not like, it's like literally that's the goal. Because the goal, just being completely honest, the goal is depopulation. That's the goal. One of the ways you can cause depopulation is people just don't reproduce. You know what I'm saying? Just like with the economy. Some people not reproducing because they simply can't afford it. Trust me, I understand that. But it's we just on a new level because of the internet. It changed women's perception of themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. Next. Oh yeah. Let me take this off so I can read this. I think we're almost on the last slide, by the way. Yeah, many sisters who have the potential to be wives simply don't like to be out in public. They're generally more modest and low key. I'm gonna just say this, and I, state the obvious when I'm stated because it's obvious. Because things that are obvious aren't always spoken, and so even though they're obvious, sometimes we forget. Especially if you race first, you African centered, you straight back pride. Even if you're a good Christian or Muslim, chances of you finding your wife in the club are small. Just thought I'd put that out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure brothers know, but it's just a reminder. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's impossible. She could just be a waitress, but the chances are small. Just want to say that. Right? Okay. All right. We're down to the closing thoughts. All right. So before I do these closing thoughts, I'm going to play this clip from our sister Scheherazade, and because it will lead into what these closing thoughts are. So y'all know we do. Pause the music. Load up.
Is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done or that we do daily that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that, being my own person and I'm independent, would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. You know them women that had men if they got a bunch of children. They need fathers. They need protection. We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem. We talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are allowing this to go on in their home. We have not looked at what part of the responsibility do we share. Yes, black men sell a lot of drugs, and a lot of us black women get the money from them drugs and buy some of these fancy clothes we wear. Drive around in some of these fancy cars. He is not doing these things alone and without support from us, whether they are good or bad. See, we have a lot of power. We are very strong women. I'm saying that we're using our strength in the wrong direction. We're using it to tear our man down, tear our nation down, instead of building it up.
That was Sister Scheherazade Ali. Y'all can agree or disagree. I'm just saying she made a lot of salient points in that clip. That's why I clipped it. All right. Let's get to the closing thoughts. The unfortunate reality for many straight black men is that there are very few black women who are interested in being a wife. Right? All right, man. I'm just telling it like it is. Even fewer black women today are qualified to be a wife to a man who stands on the principle of being straight, black, and proud man who wants to pass on these principles to his children. I ain't telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. Most American black women who are reproductive age fully support the LGBT agenda. If anyone disagrees with that statement and can bring documentation to prove that I am incorrect, either you can speak now, because wait a minute, speaking, tripping. Put the link in the chat. And okay. So we just not going to put the link in the chat on. Okay, here we go. goodness. Struggling mightily here. If anybody disagrees with this statement, the link is in the chat. Even if they don't support it, they don't want to take a stand against it, right? A lot of sisters, they like, hey, I don't really support it, but and there are economic reasons for that, like standing against LGBT and everything, especially in the past, during the past administration. And that wasn't gonna help you make no money. So this limits the options for straight, black, and proud men. This is why those sisters who are willing to stand beside these kind of men should be very selective about who they allow themselves to be with. Hey, don't pass up your husband trying to keep your boyfriend, right? And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna keep it real. Don't reproduce with a clown, or don't reproduce with the court jester before you meet the crown prince. That the crown prince might disqualify you because you got children, plural, by the court jester, right? It's a reality situation because the brother, and he seemed like a very solid brother. Met him recently. I got a lot of respect for Brother Tarake. You know what I'm saying? He shows ultimate support. Came from a whole nother state to come to Straight Black Pride Convention. He inspired this. And he asked this question. Right? Brother's employed, he's in shape, he's solid. Seems to have good character, from what I can tell. And he's looking for a wife. Love to be able to tell him, hey man, I know a sister down there that's blah 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 blah. Yeah. There was a time when I could do that a few years ago. Like I knew I had enough connections in different cities that you know what I'm saying? A lot of enough connections in different cities that I could direct brothers to places to go in their city and stuff like that. Can't do that no more. Shout out to Mr. Fauci for ending that. So I'm just saying. I think this is the last slide. Rules of the show, right? Always be respectful to each other. We built this on black love and black self-respect, right? Black respect amongst each other. Never use derogatory language towards black people here in this forum. Please and thank you. Women are not B's and H's, nor 304s. Such language is prohibited. Once is a mistake, twice is banishment. Black people are not N-words. We don't use the word. In the words of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, we deprecate the use of the N-word. You can speak with passion, but be respectful. Seek truth and understanding. Speak truth and avoid Zionist stereotypes and propaganda about the complementary gender. With that, the invitation to speak is in the chat. The link is there, and the link is being posted again. I would greatly like to hear from a sister before we close out. I'll give you all, give the sisters time to collect their thoughts. To give you all a minute and a half. If those sisters want to contribute, then we close out. I will ask all in general, did you all think this is a worthwhile discussion? If you think it's a worthwhile discussion, just put a 1 in the chat. Also, it's a night of Saturday. I'm probably be back on tomorrow with Soda the Sinner. I know I haven't made content in a while. I actually had a sister pay for the StreamYard this month. So I said, let me actually give her money's worth. So this week, while I have a little bit of time, I will be trying to put up, I guess the next 7-8 days or so, I'll be trying to put up content here on YouTube. I'm trying to put up something daily. I will not, the normal days I normally stream like Tuesday and Thursday. I won't be doing those because taking Brother Genie's class that he has set up, his social architects class. So that's why you see me coming on days like Saturdays and Sundays, you know, things like that. All right. So we the people say that they, and I didn't even look to see if anybody. Oh man, I missed the comments from a couple of people. Is there any way for me to go back and look at the comments in on Instagram? Doesn't look like it. Oh well. And doesn't look like it. I wanted to see if it would look like it's more brothers than sisters over there. All right, so we're here. No sisters. No, y'all ain't got nothing to say. I don't want y'all talking bad about me behind my back. And some of y'all got my number. I don't want to, as soon as I hit end the program, I don't want you to call me and talk bad about me. You know what I'm saying? I know some of y'all. So that's why I'm giving y'all a chance to speak. Going once. Going twice. And also, let me say this real quick. We'll get out of here. If anyone has a question that they would like turned into either a video or a show, we still do Ask DC. Like, so if somebody asks me something directly, I'll do a video on it. I haven't done Ask DC in a long time because people haven't asked. I guess everyone already has the answers, which is cool. If you have the answers, you know, put the answers out here for us, because sometimes I don't have the answers. You know, just being completely honest. So with that, y'all can follow me on Instagram if you ain't already doing it at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on OTW2 Black-owned platform at dcradical1, and you can support financially via Cashapp $DCRadical1, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Yeah, brother, you got ripped off. He's banned right now because he cut the stream last time accidentally. You know, he has extra privileges that other people don't have. So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And don't forget to go back and look at some of the other shows and videos on these topics that we have covered and discussed. And, you know, I appreciate y'all's support. And I'm probably going to be back on tomorrow. So come back and check us tomorrow night. Tomorrow is Sunday, right? Today's Saturday, right? Okay, yeah, tomorrow, 8 o'clock. All right, with that I say, a BB48 and straight black pride.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB4ODA and straight black pride.